Three, two, one. Here we go. Wow, 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 wow. Welcome to the Fit Society podcast. My name is Corey. I'm here with MJ and Cassidy via Zoom. Today's conversation is going to be about VOPA. What is it? I'll break it down real quick. It's vision, objectives, process, and accountability. That's what the acronym stands for. We will go into 3 thoughts, 2 myths, and 1 question with an action at the end. That is our go. So a 3, 2, 1 go format. Cassidy, MJ, how are you this morning?
Doing well, Corey. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I have a cup of coffee and I cannot complain.
Corey,
I'm well, Corey. Thank you for asking.
You are welcome.
Do you practice? Serious question. Do you practice that intro?
Do you think I practice that intro?
I think you do, actually.
No, come on.
I feel like
tanker,
there's a good possibility that you. All right, welcome to the Better Together podcast. This is Corey.
I'm what they call a one taker. You know,
Yeah.
One take. That's it. Off the cuff.
Okay.
I was given the gift of gab. Gets me into trouble a lot, though.
No doubt.
All right, so let's go into this VOPA: vision, objectives, process, accountability. 3 thoughts. Who wants to kick us off? I'll go. Cool. Nope, too late. You waited too long.
Too late. You suck.
So VOPA, I mean, I think we all need a little overbrief, or I'll break it down real quick and summarize it. VOPA is a strategy to put your life, quote unquote, on paper, or at least the things you want to accomplish in your life, your vision for your life on paper.
Yep.
And then listing objectives after that. So you know what you're trying to attain, listing processes so you know how to get to those objectives. And then accountability is holding yourself or having others hold you accountable. So really what we're looking at is a format to take where you want to be, and using this format to put it down on paper to make sure that you get there as fast as possible, with as little hiccups as possible. I have never used a VOPA yet. I will soon. But I have written goals down on paper plenty of times. And within those goals on paper, I have written down what I need to do to accomplish those goals. I've done different strategies where basically you write down a goal, you write down what's keeping you from that goal, and then you kind of continue to go down that path. Well, what is keeping me from that goal? Why is that keeping me from that goal? Can I do that right now? If I can't do that right now, what's the thing I need to do to be able to do that thing right now to be able to do the goal? So you're basically distilling it down to figure out, like, why am I stuck where I'm stuck at? And how do I break through that barrier?
Yeah.
I think the most beneficial part of that for me is, number one, it's concrete. When it's on paper, it becomes a lot more real. You're physically reading it, especially if you're putting it in a place where you can see it a lot. But number 2, it kind of helps you get into a organized thought process and action process.
Yeah.
Which would be very similar to like going to the grocery store without like a grocery list. And like, can you get groceries? Yes. But how many times do you get back to the house and you're like, dang it, I bought everything I needed for carne asada besides the steak. And you're like, I hate my life now. I guess I'll just drink beer instead. It's the only option.
I went to the store last night, Corey, and I picked up another hummus and no peppers. And now I got home and I have 4 hummuses and no peppers. So
yes,
I think you used a really good example.
Yes. Yeah, so that would be my example. The only other one I can think of that I mess up a lot is like cleaning or like chores to-do list around the house. If I don't make one, I'm bound to miss something that I really wanted to get done. And then in addition to that, not only am I missing it, but I prioritize it wrong. So like my poor wife, will have people come over and she's like, can you help me clean the house? I'm like, yeah. She comes into the room and I'm like detailing the baseboards behind the refrigerator. She's like, nobody's going to see that. The bathroom's destroyed.
You're missing
This is a giant waste of time. But so that's kind of my thing. That's why writing it down is important. It creates that process, creates that structure, helps you get there faster and know where you're going and why you're going there.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. Thanks,
man.
And I'll take off
I'll
now.
fuck. I disagree. I
Yeah.
disagree. Vehemently.
I
I
Yeah.
disagree
You're
vehemently.
wrong. Your thoughts are wrong. So I've not used the VOPA yet either. So I'm in Corey's boat, but I've used other tools. We've had several BTCs or body transformation challenges at both Studio Fit and Fit Society. And I found my most success is when I was able to literally take that 60-day time period that we had the BTC, and I mapped out every single day of what I was going to do. And I mean, I put it down to how much water I was going to drink, how many times I was going to work out during that time frame, the calories I would take, and then I would always go back and I would mark off on that calendar if I missed something, if I nailed it, if my calories were way too low one day or way too high. I marked that down. So it gave me a visual to see every day of why I'm doing it, number one, but then also where my accomplishments were, and then also taking progress pictures. So both MJ and I did the 75 hard. You couldn't tell that right now by my shape of my luscious body, but you the same thing goes down with 75 hard, is that they make it so simple, and that's what the VOPA is about. It's about being simple, but it's about using something that's super easy to use, and that's what 75 hard did. There was, I think, 5 or 6 tasks we had to do during the day. They have an app that you just go on and you click off those things that you do during the day. Once your day is complete, you hit finish, and boom, it marks off that day for you. So again, it's another way of visually seeing the things that you want to accomplish and being able to get them done, and highly successful. The one thing I think both of those lacked, well, maybe not 75 hard lacked, is that though you have an app and you can't miss, there's not a team aspect of it. So the accountability piece is really just and so when other people need a little bit of a kick in the butt, thankfully I had MJ who did it with me. And, in the first, I don't know, 30 days, it wasn't too hard, but we get in that middle 30 days and it was tough, and we would have conversations about, wow, man, this is much harder than we thought, or, days that would be good or bad where it was nice to have somebody there to hold you accountable, but also just to wrap and know that they're still in the same boat as you, and they were rowing the same way. So that's kind of my, I guess, long version of the VOPA.
Yeah. I guess I usually work in a macro thought and then funnel down. My macro thought on VOPA, like Corey said, it's an acronym. The V, the O, the P, and the A, which we'll get into. It's an acronym for 4 steps to dominate any goal that you have in your life. And I look at VOPA as a system. And the reason why I look at it as a system is because it starts at a certain place, flows to a certain place, goes back to another, and it works in its own little ecosystem. It's the beginning and the end. It's the alpha and the omega, from the top down, bottom up, and we'll go through what that is exactly. But it's a system to guide. It's a system to lead. It's a system to help someone accomplish something that they haven't accomplished yet in their life. And so if you're on this call and you have any sort of goal that you would want to accomplish in fitness, in life, in a relationship, I would be so bold as to say this would be a great tool or method to help you accomplish the principle, which is that narrow focused thing that you want to accomplish. Ladies and gentlemen, it has finally happened. If you're listening, this is a cut-in We had our first ever technical issue, technical difficulties that arose in the recording. We were doing our thing. I think I was talking and going into my thought on VOPA, and then the world exploded, i.e. we lost our internet and our connection. So one thing we like to embrace at the Fit is a spirit of grit. And grit to us is guts, resilience, initiative, and tenacity. So we're going to exercise some grit, and we're going to do some problem solving and figure it out. So good news, bad news. The good news is we're going to finish this bad boy. The bad news is you're stuck with me for the rest of it. So we started recording this last week. This is Sunday, the 6th of June. This will be live tomorrow. And I just want to pick up where we left off on VOPA. And I think I was summarizing my thought with respect to VOPA being a system. And I think where I was going was, well, I know where I was going is I truly believe that VOPA is a system that allows us to, take one step back in our life and be able to work on our lives and on our goals with what we want to accomplish. I think so often we're working in our lives, and a lot of times it feels like we're swimming and swimming and swimming. And so it's a 2-step forward, 1 step back opportunity to do that. And, when I think about VOPA, I think the coolest thing about it, it reminds me of a quote that I read from James Clear's book called Atomic Habits, where he says, people don't rise to the level of their goals, they fall to the level of their systems. Again, people don't rise to their goals, they fall to the level of the systems. And so VOPA to me is a lot more than just setting goals. Anybody can set a goal and write a goal down. I believe the difference in you accomplishing that goal or not is the system that you put in place to protect yourself from yourself, and to help, like I said earlier in the last recording, to guide and lead you and direct you so you can get there in the shortest amount of time possible. And I think that was Corey's main point, is this system or this process, this strategy does that. So it's a tremendous opportunity for us to work on ourselves. So those are our 3 thoughts, our 2 myths. Myth number 1, planning is or has to be complex. So planning, and VOPA is definitely a form of planning, comes with sometimes a negative connotation of it has to be difficult. And what I believe is so special about VOPA and this process of going through it is that it's just incredibly simple. I'm going to go to it in the end on our go of exactly how to do that. And side segue real quick. This is kind of cool. We've always said that there's at least 3 people listening or watching at any given time. I was working out in the gym the other day, and a member had come up to me and said, "Hey man, listen to the podcast. It's pretty cool, and this is great." And this was just after our victim versus Victor podcast. If you haven't listened to that one, it's a really good one. And this individual came up to me and said, "Hey MJ, here's the deal. I listened to that podcast twice, and I think I'm a victim, or at least I have that mindset." And I said, "Oh yeah, why is that?" And this individual walked through a couple things. I said, "Okay, that makes sense." And they turned around to me and said, "So now what do I do?" And it was a perfect tie-in and leading to VOPA, because that's a solution for this person for after that self-awareness and that identifying that they can go get to work now. And this is a system in order for them to go get to work and go from a victim mindset and turn that victimization into victory. So pretty cool stuff. So the myth is that planning has to be complex, and this is just a simple process to do that. I think planning, where most people get stuck, is the thinking about it, and the thinking and the thinking and the thinking. And I believe that many times people get paralysis via analysis. When you have more questions than answers, you can just get stuck and froze. And what VOPA does for you, what it's done for me, what it's done for our organization and for our employees, and what it will do for our members and everybody that's listening to this that may not be part of our community, is it provides a simple process for you to go from point A to point B. So the myth is things have to be complex, and that's just not the case. Keep it simple, stupid, KISS. Second myth, planning is time consuming. Again, I would argue that all we have is time to work on ourselves if we truly want to get to where we want to be. I think we waste far more time just existing. I think we waste far more time swimming, so to speak, and not taking the time to work on ourselves or on our goals and why we want to do it, etc. I think takes way more time out of our life than actually taking an organized effort and putting it into working on ourselves. So I think it's absolutely the exact opposite. It's one of those paradox things that we talk about all the time, that the discipline equals the freedom. That the discipline through going through and making a plan will lead to you having more time in the end, more time than you've ever had in your life, for sure. So we believe that going through this process is antithetical to wasting time. It's the exact opposite. It'll save you a bunch of time, and then make sure that the time that you're working in your life and in whatever goal you're trying to accomplish, that you're moving the right way. So those are our two myths. One question we have for you is, or to ask yourself is, do I have a plan for my life? And is it on paper? I think everybody listening generally has a decent to good understanding of what they want to accomplish. I think very few actually go through the process in any way, form, or fashion of actually writing it down. And again, like Corey said earlier, this is a process to go through it. It's a process to go through and create a system to accomplish whatever you want in life. So I want to shift gears into the actual creation of a VOPA and where you might start. Okay. And this is where I hope we can be really actionable. This is where I hope we can really provide some value. And for anybody that's listening or watching, actually do something with this. And I'm probably 120 days deep into working with probably a couple hundred individuals on VOPAs, both employees as well as friends and family that I've brought this up with, and we've had a tremendous response. So this is what I'm going to encourage you to do. We're gonna try something that's an actual exercise of going through this. For time's sake, I'll be brief, I'll be superficial, I'll be visceral, but my goal is to be impactful. So the first thing you have to understand when creating a VOPA is you have to identify the end in mind with respect to, is this going to be a life VOPA for you? Is this going to be a career VOPA? Is this going to be a VOPA for financial gain? Is this going to be a VOPA for your fitness? Is it going to be for a spiritual VOPA, et cetera, et cetera? And what I mean by that is you can VOPA any capacity or role you have in your life. Either capacity or role you choose to VOPA, it needs to be personal to you, but you can you get to choose, right? So for all intents and purposes, I want to guide everybody through a VOPA process as if you have a fitness goal or you're in that space. And then what I would hope is that you can take these principles that we go through and how to actually create a VOPA in a fitness space and use it for your life, because obviously they go hand in hand and they should be in complete synergy. So when you think of VOPA, think of a V, an O, a P, and an A, just top down. And I would write that down. That's what I would do on a piece of paper, is I'd go V, O, P, A, something like this from the top down. Boom. And where I would start is I would start at the O, which is objectives. Objectives is just another term for goals. Okay. And what I would encourage you to do with your fitness goals is get as specific as possible with what you want to accomplish. So anytime you see objectives or goals, think what. So what do I want to accomplish? Start there and write it down. And I would encourage you to do it as specific as possible. I'd encourage you to aim small so you miss small. Is it a weight loss goal? Is it a body fat goal? Is it a body composition goal? Is it a strength goal? Whatever it is, write it down, be specific, and be objective with it. Those those are metrics that matter. There might also be some goals that you have that aren't as naturally quantifiable. And those types of goals in our space, we call those NSVs, or non-scale victories. So building confidence, having strength, endurance, etc. Things that aren't as easily measured, but you know are important to you. Those would be under the NSV category of objectives. So first things first, when you're creating your VOPA, start with what you want to accomplish. Go straight to the objectives. Write them down, be as clear as possible. That's step one. Step two is then to turn around and ask yourself and look at those objectives and say, why does it matter to me if those objectives become a reality or not? And ask yourself why again and again and again, deeper, deeper, deeper. Corey brought this up in one of our podcasts a little while ago. It's ask, go 5 whys deep. So you want to lose the 20 pounds. That's great. But why? Well, it'll bring me self-confidence. Well, what will that do for you? How will that affect your life? Well, it'll help me in the workplace. Why is that going to help you? And you just go all the way through. And you might land at a place where you want to lose 20 pounds, 30 pounds, 40 pounds, 50 pounds, whatever it is, because you travel every week and you don't want to get in this seat and be a burden to somebody. That doesn't make you feel good. It lowers your confidence, it brings you anxiety, etc. So that's the real genesis or reason why. Or it might be for an event or a wedding or pool season or whatever. But what I'm getting at is wherever you land when you go through the process of asking yourself why it's important for you to accomplish those objectives, that is what you need to write out as your vision. Okay, so above your objectives is your vision. That is you saying, this is why this is important to me. And I would just encourage you to make sure that that is very personal, that means something to you. Because if it doesn't mean something to you, the likelihood of it being accomplished is very little. And I'll tell you why. Because if you've gone through the process of setting some sort of objectives, more than likely those objectives that you've put in front of you are mountains, and we use that as a metaphor. Those are mountains that you haven't yet climbed before, or that are taller than any mountain that you've climbed before. And it's not a matter of if, but a matter of when on your trail climbing of that mountain that you hit an obstacle, that you hit some sort of block in the road that's going to be challenging to you, that you're going to need a why to overcome that obstacle instead of a why you wouldn't. And so many times in life, I think we go about accomplishing or trying to accomplish goals only to be defeated. And you go, why didn't I accomplish that goal? Because at some point in time along the way, it got hard and your why not was greater than your why, period. So you've heard the term, what's your why? But this is a process of going through and defining it and putting it on paper, knowing that it's not if, but when you're going to hit obstacles that you're going to need that why to overcome it. And if you have those two things as part of your system, and you have that as your North Star of your system to accomplishing your goals, you're so far ahead of so many other people that are just vacillating back and forth between even establishing a goal and then really even asking themselves why it's so important to them. So again, superficially, O is your objectives. Those are your metrics that matter. That is what specifically you want to accomplish. Ask yourself, go 5 whys deep as to why that's so important to you. Write that down. That is a personal vision for you. And once you have that vision, once you have those objectives, now you can get to work on the P, which is the process. And when you think process, think one word. That's your how. That is your strategy that you're going to develop, that if said strategy is executed and held to account consistently, it will allow you to accomplish your objectives. So let me be clear. When you develop your process in VOPA, you're developing a process for the objectives above. Okay, you're not developing a process for your vision above. You're developing a process for each individual specific objective that you've outlined, because you understand that if you accomplish each individual objective, the totality of that over the whole will allow the vision to become the reality. So the level at which I would encourage you guys to go with the creation of your process has to do with how you feel after you read the process when you're done with it. And what I mean by that is after I'm done creating my process, I'm looking at an imaginary paper here. When I'm done reading my process, I ask myself one question. If I follow this process, will the objectives above become a reality? Yes or no? If I can answer that question with an emphatic yes, you don't have to go any deeper in your process. You got it. Now you just got to get your ass to work. If you read your process and it's not clear enough, or it doesn't punch you in the mouth going, yep, that's going to make sure those goals and those objectives happen, then you did not go far enough and you need to put more work into your process. Either way, you need to put a good amount of time, energy, and effort into how you think, how you talk, how you walk, how you act, and what habits you're going to create through this process to make sure that the objectives become a reality. And last but not least, once you establish that process, which is your how-to, you're going to go down to your accountability, and you're going to establish what accountability principles you're going to have in your life. Whether that's a form of intrinsic accountability with inspecting what you expect, whether it's a form of extrinsic accountability with either a mentor or a coach or a family member or a friend that's going to hold you to account and help you in that process. That is for you to find your way, whether that is a calendar, it's going to help you, or a to-do list, or an 80-20 Pareto's principle prioritization. All the methods in the world are at your disposal. What matters is that you create some principles for you that work for you, with you having enough self-awareness of understanding who you are. And if you're anything like me, when it comes to accomplishing goals and objectives through process, 9 out of 10 times I'm my own enemy with that happening or not. So what I do is I seek out resources and humble myself to try and find people that are smarter than me, that care about me, that love me, that I can bring into my life, that can bring value to my life, and I can do in return to theirs. And I put an accountability system in place so the whole VOPA can work together in synergy. So when you look at your vision, your objectives, your process, and your accountability, it's the beginning and the end. It's the end and the beginning, from the bottom all the way up to the top. So guys, in summary, and I understand this is a very superficial, just kind of exposure and kind of just give you guys something to start with respect to VOPA. This is very superficial, but if you're a member of the FIT or part of our community, you're going to become very familiar with VOPA very quickly. We've already gone through the process organizationally over the last quarter of establishing an organizational VOPA. Every employee on our team is going through the process right now of establishing an employee VOPA. And then ultimately we're going to be taking this to our members. So if you're a member on this call, what we want to do is we want to make it our burning desire to help you guys accomplish whatever it is you want to accomplish, both inside the four walls of FIT Society and beyond. So the way that VOPA Pay It Forward works is something like this. The organization has a VOPA, the employees have a VOPA, all the members have a VOPA, and my burning desire with my role and capacity at FIT Society is to look at every single one of our coaches and employees and do everything in my power to help those individuals accomplish their individual VOPA for their life. Because I know if I can help everybody accomplish what they want in their life, they'll help me accomplish what I want in mine. And then my vision from there is that for every employee at FIT Society can look at every single member or client that they have and have an identifiable VOPA and do everything in our power as coaches to help lead all of our members to their individual VOPA and beyond that. So that's the pay it forward with VOPA that I think is really, really, really cool and allows us as an organization to adhere to one of our most important values, which is community, that we define as we before me. So if you're out there, if you're not a member of the fit, that's cool too. I would encourage you to identify either a lane in your life or a role in your life or your life in total, and go through this VOPA process with something. I just gave everybody an example, just very quickly and superficially of how to do it with a fitness goal, right? Hey, you know what? I want to lose 20 pounds. Okay, why is that important to me? Boom. Okay, let's develop the process. I know I got to create a meal plan and follow through on that. I know I got to do cardio. I know I got to do resistance training. I know XYZ. I got to be held accountable. I need motivation, accountability, supervision, guidance, etc. I do all those things, and then here's my variables to make sure that we don't just talk about it, but it's actually going to happen through the accountability. We just did that, but you can take that same principle, guys, and you can apply it to your life, and you can do it for your life. You can, for example, I'm MJ Reevely. What do I want to accomplish in my life? And I can list those things out. I can then ask myself, why is that important to me? I think there's my vision. Boom. Well, how the hell is that going to happen? Then I begin to work on the process. And last but not least, how do I make sure that the rubber meets the road and it gets held to account? Well, here's what I'm going to do for that. So although they're all independent variables, the V, the O, the P, and the A, they all work simultaneously in their own ecosystem and feed into each other and onto each other just over and over and over again. So, guys, we apologize for the technical difficulties, but we appreciate you give us an opportunity to come to you and hopefully bring you some value. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, you should, YOUSHOULD at fitsocietyaz.com. We'd love to hear what topics you'd like to hear or have us wrap about. But until then, we hope you have a kick-ass week. And once again, apologize for the technical difficulties, and we'll see you next Monday. Peace.